Baby, I'm praying for tonight. Hunt you down, you lie. Like animals. Maybe you think that you can hide. I smell your scent for miles. Just like animals. Baby, I'm praying. So what you tried to do to me? It's like can't stop enemies. We get along fine on the inside. Maybe you think that you can kill me. Cut you out entirely. Better get so hard on the inside. Baby, I'm praying on you tonight. Hunt you down, you lie. Someone fall on the road. You can start over, you can jump free. You can fly like a fish in the sea. Can't escape from here, cause you're not scared to live. Maybe you think that you can hide. Smell your scent for miles. Just like animals, like animals, like animals. She likes it on my way tonight. Hunt you down, you lie. Where I see, cause I'm in control. Maybe you think that you can hide.
So quantum entanglement's being observed on a larger and a larger scale, according to scientists that claim to be the authority on that sort of thing. Like, I have no way to judge the credibility of any of this. I think society should go back to shoving nerds in a locker. You know? Now they're just handing out free TV shows like candy, making nerds the focal point of the shows. I gotta say, you've come a long way, nerds. Used to be some kid with braces and headgear and freckles getting a swirly from jocks while they try to hide an AV club. Now it's like massive particle accelerators costing billions of dollars all over the world. There's tens of thousands of them all over the place. You know, Big Bang's on its like 13th season or whatever the heck it is. So somehow, some like King Nerd, King Koopa of nerds, like Nerd Corleone, comes in and says, Earth, we're going to jam really small particles at nearly the speed of light, burning 100 times hotter than the sun for a nanosecond, and we're going to collide them in together randomly, over and over again. And you guys are just going to have to deal with it. And he's like, I've paid my dues being jammed into a locker in high school, so now I demand that the entire fabric of the universe be jammed into a tight locker as well. See how the universe likes it. You know, this is like real life Revenge of the Nerds, and we're all at risk here, people. All these particles colliding, you don't think they might get tangled up? I can't even shove my iPhone headphones in my pocket without it coming out like tangled spaghetti. We're supposed to believe that the CERN particle accelerator, or what I call the Greek Swiss Alps, has some nerd prom where they randomly jam particles into small spaces, and it's not going to get tangled up. It's going to get totally frazzled. You wouldn't go fishing with 50 people on the same boat without expecting bad things to happen. And you certainly wouldn't think the solution was more powerful, bigger boats with bigger fishermen casting towards each other as hard as they can, and then setting up this experiment 30,000 times all over the world with different boats all casting simultaneously. Plus, even if you do catch a fish with tens of thousands of fishermen, all with entangled fishing lines, how exactly do you plan to reel it in? Now, I know I'm getting a little off topic of the metaphor here, but just let's go with it, okay? Like a fish might see one worm rain down from heaven and thank the world and thank fish Jesus or the cod God or whatever fish believe in for blessings. But don't you think it'd be a little bit different of a risk assessment if millions of worms all descended upon their world almost all at once? I think they'd be a little freaked out. I think they'd, dive down to the, I can't say surface, I guess dive down to the ocean bed. At least wait until one brave fish tried it. And then once they see a metal thing stuck it in its, jaw, or maybe it just flings out of the mysterious surface. Like, they don't know what the surface is. They just see it disappear out of sight. It's like another dimension to them. Like, how would humans react if a single UFO popped out of nowhere in front of some guy and disappeared, and a pre-wrapped cheeseburger from WacDonalds appeared? Due to a trademark, WacDonalds has been substituted for the brand name Well, never mind, but ba-da-ba-ba-ba-da-da. I'm hating it. if a WacDonalds appeared, then the guy would probably be like, oh, I guess it's just one. I guess I'll take a cheeseburger. But if all at once millions started raining on the guy, I think you'd probably be like, I better run inside and reassess the situation a little bit later. You know? And what happens if someone touches it and everyone that ever reaches for that patty whack, give a WacDonalds a bone? Give a WacDonalds cheeseburger to this guy. And if everyone who ever touched it disappeared or had a heart attack, you know, we'd hide ourselves in our collective arteries from the cholesterol. You know, we'd scurry into our houses and reassess. And I'm not saying WacDonalds is secretly run by aliens setting up bait to get us all fat and complacent and prepared for the culling of the masses, so that when they invade, we don't even notice because we're too busy eating WacDonalds cheeseburgers and watching cat videos on YouTube. But if they were planning such a thing, it would probably look something exactly like it. Subliminal messages would be popping up all over the place saying subtle things at first like obey, consume. Sort of a pre-sell. So later when the commercials come on with some alien clown freak show named Ronald WacDonald, you're not thinking about the movie It and Pennywise and Stephen King's Clown of Death. But you're thinking a grease burger and a creepy clown smile asking me if I believe in magic? Sold! Honey, get the kids, we're going to WacDonalds to feed them poison. Put a little grease in your heart, ba-da-ba-ba-ba, obesity. We're all fat and complacent now. Here come the aliens. Ah! But the fish would probably notice if it was just worms all over the place. This is why aliens are messing up with the so-called Mandela effect. You know, when reality shifts all at once in the line, Luke, I am your father, Lucy, you got some splaining to do, life is like a box of chocolates, all of them vanish. And we're all spontaneously noticing dozens of movie lines are different, several slogans, spelling is on names. Somehow Sally Fields is entangled to everyone, and they all blame it on confabulation. A likely story. You can't jam Sally Fields in so many movies, TV shows, and commercials, all in such a short span of time, any more than you can jam headphones in my pocket. You can't have her be Forrest Gump's mama, have a relative of her work for CERN in real life, and have her name not suddenly drop an S off the face of this dimension. She's like an alien Illuminati worm bait. What is a worm shaped like? An S! People. Some people remember Sally Fields and not Sally Field. And she's at the Illuminati World Award show saying, they like me! The aliens really like me! You know, that was a velociraptor. Well, you get the point. I don't know what aliens talk like, I'm sorry. Maybe someone else can fill me in on what an alien noise is supposed to sound like. But, you know, they have these award shows. They roll out the carpet, signifying one of the royal 13 red bloodlines, so they have a blood red carpet. But I think, in a way, Sally Field's name is there and not. Maybe the S stands for superposition. So Schrödinger's cat is some weird story about some scientist, about like some super nerd trying to describe the quantum world of superposition by telling us about a cat in a box with a certain amount of poison, and due to the randomness of the radioactive decay, both possibilities of the cat being alive and dead exist at once until it's observed. By observing it, you supposedly collapse the wave function, and the uncertainty becomes known. Quantum physicists, don't they just tell the best stories? Anyways, I had a joke about Schrödinger's cat, and it was both funny and not, until I explain it. Someone who isn't informed about the joke is going to want me to tell it anyways, so I'm just going to say, I don't want to collapse the laugh function. The joke must remain untold. If Schrödinger had only used a different analogy rather than a cat in a box, I might have understood this years ago. I might have understood what superposition meant. For example, what if it was Schrödinger's lawsuit? A man suing himself? Yeah, then I get it. The man is suing himself, and he both wins and loses the lawsuit until he decides which version of him he is. And I'd be like, yeah, okay. The quantum world exists as possibilities in a weird schizophrenic multi-personality disorder state where nothing is ruled out until it comes into contact with a third dimension. And then someone on mushrooms comes off as hallucination. If you're an optimist, the glass is both half full and half empty until you decide if the contents contain water or poison, and until you decide whether you or your mortal enemy has to drink the rest of it. Okay, there's another one. I get it. But a cat in a box? Is a cat named Jack? Is it a Jack in the box? A cat's both alive and dead until you open up whatever's behind door number 3? I don't get it, Is it some kind of zombie cat? Because really, I can only understand this through the lens of some evil zombie cat uprising. I think the zombie apocalypse would look a lot like cats, not humans. And maybe I'm a little too open-minded on everything, but I may even suggest a zombie cat uprising has already begun. Maybe Schrödinger was actually trying to warn us all of zombie cats taking over the planet, and the box that it was in was Pandora's box. Don't open that box. Don't let out that zombie uprising of both dead and alive cats all over the planet. Just leave the cats all in one location on Earth. Put them in a box permanently, like on a cat farm somewhere, and you can have all the crazy cat people go with and lock them in too. Like, no offense, I've always been a dog person. Dogs will be loyal. Even if you mistreat them, they'll still show up waiting for you at your door and thrilled of you to come home. And you're still like their best friend. Dogs don't really know how to hold a grudge. Dogs show you nothing but unconditional love. Cats are the opposite. You show a cat your favorite couch and you come home and it's scratched. Cat has shredded it to pieces. You give a cat love, you feed it. Then it goes next door and finds it can get milk just by meowing at a door, and all of a sudden it disappears forever. Look, maybe I'm biased. If so, that's because when I was 12 years old, I saw a cat run in front of a golf course. Any golfer knows that's pure evil. You don't run in front of someone just as they're hitting their shot. But that's not what I'm even talking about here. That doesn't even begin to describe the extent of it. The way the cat walked was the worst part about it. It just had this arrogance about it, the way it trotted about. I just didn't like it. You can't trust an animal or creature that moves like that, I'm telling you. Maybe that's just one of my crazy theories. I don't know. But in this particular instance, after shanking the golf shot because my cat, not my cat, well, some cat, screwed up my shot, I start walking up like, what's going on here? My friend's like, oh, it's got a mouse. It's got a mouse. It's got a mouse. It's got a mouse. We're 12 years old. We're on sugar and caffeine and whatever kids, whatever it is that make kids so hyper, like my voice is right now as I'm trying to illustrate the passion in my voice. But it had a mouse, It starts pawing at the mouse. And we're like, what's it doing? It's pawing at the mouse. It's freaking torturing the thing. It's got the mouse pinned down at this point. And it's just like smushing it. And I'm like, what is going on here? This is crazy. As we walk closer, the cat looks at the mouse. The cat looks at us. The cat looks at the mouse. Looks back at us. And it goes, oh, 2 innocent children. They've never seen brutality before. And the cat looks down at the mouse and it chomps. And I can hear bones crunching. It's crunching. It bites its freaking head off. I'm not even making this up, people. Not only that, it crunches, bites the head off, spits it out, and then the cat walks away doing his little trot back and forth. You know that trot's evil. You know cats are evil. Now to a 12-year-old child who grew up watching Disney, whose sole experience with mice was a cartoon hero named Mickey Mouse, to witness an act like that. I mean, even Hitler loved animals, right? So even Hitler would have been horrified by this act. I dare you to tell that child the cats are anything but pure evil. So I'm probably totally biased, but I think the Zombie Cat Uprising has already begun. Who else is capable of a zombie uprising, if not superpositioned zombie cats, both alive and dead, both and neither? You can't look at raw body counts and try to tell me Hitler and his minions ranks as a worse evil than cats. I'm sorry, you just can't. Like, I would probably be ashamed to admit it, but for me personally, there is an exchange rate where I value humans more than animals. I'm sorry, I just do. I know animals are a species too and their life is important, but I'm saying, like, if I had a choice whether to save a kid or his dog first, like if I ran into a burning building and on one side of the floor there's a kid and the dog's in the other room, like, I'm sorry, I'm choosing the kid first every time. I might ask the kid the dog's name and yell, "Come on, Spot! Come on, Spot! We're getting out of here!" You know? But all my resources are pretty much focused on saving the kid first. Now, if there are dozens of animals, and all I have to do is lift open a gate on one side of the building up 3 stories, or save a kid down 3 stories, the choice gets a little tougher, but I honestly think I'm still going for the kid. I'm not saying it's right, people. I don't even know what the proper exchange rate is of how many dogs I'd have to be able to save before I'd pick dogs over kids. And again, I'm a dog person. I love dogs. But this exchange rate exists. It's just hard to define, you know? Like maybe if an animal hospital was flooding because someone forgot to open a drain and turn off the water, and I could either just run in and pull the drain and save hundreds of animals, or press a button so the gate opens and all the animals run free. Or both, you know? And let's say there's also a burning fire slightly farther away with a kid inside, and I happen to just know all this somehow. I might choose the animals at this point. And then I'd have that sort of false rationalization that maybe if I save the animals and let them free, they'll randomly run into a burning building and save the kid. And if not, maybe they'll at least get close enough and then shake off the water, and it'll somehow put out the fire. Like, I realize that wouldn't actually work, but in the heat of the moment, I would probably, even then, still need some justification to myself as to why I would save the animals over the kid. Okay, I guess this is a little too heavy here. But if you're being realistic, you have to make decisions like this, right? There's trade-offs, there's opportunity cost. At some point, our morality and our morals, whatever we think is morally just, these decisions, potentially in certain circumstances, can cost lives, and we have to make a choice. Like, I agree, child sweatshops shouldn't exist, but in poor countries, if you adopt child labor laws for some families, that's 1/4, 1/5 of the family income. And people starve because of your morals. So you have to actually look at the consequences with emotional weight applied to both sides, or find another solution. But even if we assume an exchange rate of 1,000 animals to 1 human, and we rate all animals equal, Hitler killed 10 million people. Stalin killed 20 million. Mao killed 50. You know? Possibly even 70. Cats kill 1.5 billion every year. Mostly birds and rodents. And to be honest, the rodents can go. The birds, I'm not so sure. But then again, rodents actually save lives. Unlike cats, dogs save lives. You have bomb-sniffing dogs saving lives. You have drug-sniffing dogs rooting out criminals. What do cats do? Rodents, you can test on them legally, and you can try things, and if it works, then you can say, okay, this will probably work on humans. Now we can actually use cures and vaccines and drugs and things that actually save human lives. Cats just bite mice's head off, They kill freaking Big Bird. They kill Mickey Mouse. They're killing all our childhood heroes. And I know, something in my head doesn't seem right to say cats are worse than Hitler. Something seems off, like if you could go back in time, some people say they'd kill Hitler. No one says they'd kill every single cat in existence. Which is about, if you go back 10,000 years ago, it's a lot less than it is now. I mean, animal rights activists don't really care about all animals equally, or they'd appeal to people's hearts to keep cats locked up, rather than for cats to be saved and adopted by caring owners, just so they can turn their back and have that cat bite off 2 to 3 heads off a year. I mean, Garfield and friends were making cartoons of, and we should be demonizing Garfield. But it's just the way we grow up, the way we think about life. You think the animal lovers would be able to identify the evils of cats, but they're more interested in blaming the human species for not going vegan, apparently. Look, I understand your concerns, but try to be realistic here. If we don't eat cheeseburgers, how many more cows are going to exist? When you add more cows to the population, you're going to have more interactions between humans and cows. And when that happens, there's more cow tippers. How many more cows have to be tipped over by cow tippers and have to suffer unnecessarily because you won't eat cheeseburgers? I'm just asking you to be a responsible human person who cares about animals and destroy all cats and eat cheeseburgers. If we're to believe that the nerds aren't secretly plotting revenge for being stuffed in a locker in high school, and that they're actually telling the truth, if we assume they're interpreting the data correctly, and they're not exaggerating their claims for funding from government with an agenda to tax everyone to fund documentaries by Al Gore, then cows are still slowly destroying the planet with their toxic methane farts and their evil cow pies. So I'm going to need all of you to eat cheeseburgers before the irresponsible cows destroy the planet and all of its beautiful animals in it. And if I am elected CEO of the entire planet, rest assured, you're either for the human race or against the human race. And anyone opposed to eating cheeseburgers and quarantine cats should join the cat farm in Solitude, where you can drink and feed them soy milk. Let's see how friendly cats are when you feed them soy milk and they don't have furniture to scratch and they have nothing to scratch but your face. I'm just saying, there's not going to be people on the side of the cats for too long. We must wage a war on cats before they wage a war on us. The Constitution says all men are created equal. It didn't say nothing about no cats. Think what's happening here, people. A cat looks cute. Cat photo. A cat looks funny. Cat photo. Another cat looks cute. Cat photo. A soldier comes home from war, logs onto Facebook to see how people are using the freedoms that he bravely defended. It's all cat photos. What is worse, fighting in combat as bullets whiz by you with a mindset that you are defending freedoms and risking your life for the red, the white, and the blue? Or coming home and fighting the combat of looking on Facebook, and it's nothing but cat photos whizzing by you as you slowly realize you risked your life for this? This is how freedoms are being used for? We can do better, people. Freedoms are only as good as the people and what they use them for, and we have to start doing better. Soldiers are watching an IED blow up in front of them, and then they have to come home. Not to fanfare and celebration, but Twitter accounts blown up with cat tweets. I don't know about you guys, but cat photos have driven me mad. And I'll admit, I'm a little unhinged because of cats. So much to the point that I would not even be fit for combat. And if it's having the same effect on our soldiers, on our brave warriors, on the strongest among us and most prepared to wage a war, cats are already winning. They're already succeeding in compromising the bravest among us. And if you fall for cats' deception, if you see them as an ally, you may even take their side in the war versus cats. But if you don't and cats...
Now they got allies!
You're basically going to be unfit for combat, for even suggesting that cats are a net negative for the planet. They're putting us in two camps here, people. We can't let the cats divide us. And in the war versus cats, Sarah Mclachlan's public enemy number one. Her and her Save the Cat sad music and her PETA commercials. But this is not a war that will be fought with bullets, people. We must instead take heed, take our instruments, and fight this war with music.
Every year, billions of mice and birds are left decapitated and killed. Birds are left unable to fly due to the senseless and violent nature of cats. Pol Pot's communist regime killed 1.7 million lives. Hitler's National Socialist regime, 10 million lives lost. Joseph Stalin's communist regime, 20 million lives lost. Genghis Khan and the Mongolian Empire, 50 million. Emperor Mao and his communist regime, 70 million. Mr. Kitty and the cat regime, 1.5 billion lives of birds and mice lost every single year. Friends don't let friends own cats.